Hey, Dr. Yerby here. In this learning module, we're going to be looking at the scope of digital forensics and get a general introduction to what digital forensics is. So let's jump right in. So to start, I'll start with a forensics life cycle. So every forensics investigation will generally follow about the same type of life cycle. So at the beginning of the investigation, you will be collecting evidence, you'll be acquiring evidence, you'll be seizing evidence. Then once the evidence has been seized, it will be examined. So you'll take a physical piece of evidence, either a hard drive, a phone, a USB drive, CDs, all sorts of different things that could be rounded up into a cyber forensics investigation. Then you'll examine those with using forensically sound techniques and tools and trained staff. Then you'll perform the analysis to recreate the narrative of what the crime is, or the work incident, or the hack, or the threat was. You'll create that analysis, recreate that event, right? So you'll be able to tell a story supported by the evidence that's there, being completely honest, ethical, and straightforward. And then the last really important part here is the reporting. So if you do not write a good, concise, meaningful report, what good was the rest of it? So the reporting is extremely important too. So you might be working for law enforcement. We'll talk about public versus private in a moment. Or you might be working for a private firm, and the end result that you're going to be giving to your client is going to be a report. And then you may later be called to be an expert witness. We'll talk about that in several learning modules later. Here some people say that, oh, forensics and security are the same thing. Oh, I would really disagree with that. I would see security as being proactive. So we're trying to do things to prevent some sort of attack or breach or loss of information or control. So we're putting in firewalls, permissions, authentication, all these things. Forensics is something happened and now we have to react. So security is much more of a proactive approach, and forensics is a reactive approach. So we need to figure out what happened, figure out how we can stop this. Is there a way that we can prosecute the bad guy, or can we punish or set free someone who was accused of something? The next one is that cyber forensics and computer forensics and digital forensics it's really all the same thing. So this is one of those terms that initially I was pretty opposed to, the word cyber forensics. It sounds like some 90s, AOL chat term. But if you go out there and you look what the government's speaking, what the industry's speaking, cyber forensics is really the word, because there's much more than just computer forensics. There's lots of mobile forensics, network forensics, where you need to trace what's happened over a network. So the term that you'll hear most often in newer articles, newer lectures, newer posts, is you'll hear the word cyber forensics. And cyber just really kind of encapsulates everything digital, plus all of the networking, and even things such as artifacts, which would be like a printed document. That could all be rolled into a cyber forensics investigation. Not all cyber forensics is about crimes. So there's a good bit out there that you might be working for a company. So AT&T, IBM, any of these large companies have large forensics teams that work for that organization. So there's some big benefits of having an internal forensic team. One of those benefits is that when an incident happens, you have people on ground ready to go already, and then that information doesn't have to get outside the organization. It's not all about recovering deleted files, so I think we kind of covered this through some of the other things, but cyber forensics is much more than just deleted files. It's recreating that narrative, recreating that crime scene. And it's not easy. So I think that cyber forensics is much more of an art and science. It's not always straightforward. It's not quick. And it takes a lot of skill, and it takes a good bit of time to get this to work, and it's not always predictable. There's certain things that you know should always be in certain locations, but each system's going to be different. Some things are not able to be acquired. So if you're up for a challenge, this is a great field for you. And then this will be our last slide. Getting into the field. So a way that many people get into this field is they start with a public service. And when I say public service, I mean law enforcement type agencies. So a local police department, FBI, GBI, NSA, those types of things. These public service jobs tend to pay a little bit less, or a bit less, than if you were working on your own doing this type of work. But the getting into the field can be difficult because of the amount of knowledge, the price of the tools and training. So many people start in public service. Some stay there and they make a difference in what they're doing for their life, their livelihood, and they're putting away bad guys, right? And some decide to leave public service and go work for a private industry where they might make more money, and they might be working, depending on what type of cases they're doing. Security related jobs. So sometimes a security related job will end up going into forensics. So that's kind of how my start got started. I was working for a bank. There were some investigations that I needed to work on, and I was in charge of the entire information technology for the organization. So I had to go through and do some forensic investigations, work with some attorneys. There's degree programs like this one that you're in. If you're watching this video, hopefully you are in my course, right? If you're not, let me know so I can know who's using my videos. And then the last thing is, I think the field of forensics or cyber forensics is at a point right now where I see where project management was 15 years ago. People kind of happened into those positions. They had a degree in something else, either something related to technology or something related to forensic accounting or something that existed. Now you're starting to see more degree programs, and you're also starting to see more certifications. And just like with anything technology related, there's some vendor certifications where you can be certified in a specific product, such as Encase, Access Data, Paraben, Celebrite, or there are non-vendor specific certifications like the Certified Forensic Examiner, right? So those are just some first intro bits to get you started with learning Module 1. Thanks, and I hope we have a great course together.